Hello, my name is MatlockWhite, and today I'm going to be walking you through our epic user stories for our Sprint 5. Now in this sprint we focus mostly on the collision detection and whatnot as the collision boxes proceed through their initial flight paths for the enemy archetypes as well as the projectiles and Nin's various projectiles and attack patterns as well. For the projectile class, we wanted to make sure that the projectile was actually rendering in the image in the same collision box and both traveled in perfect lines. That way, whenever the player is actually firing or going up against it, he can know where to dodge and wouldn't be hit by some unforeseen force. Now, as you can see here on our right, we have our Tarot archetype. She's the one who throws all the different projectiles that we mostly needed to focus on. She just threw 3 shurikens. As you can see, the collision box, which is the green box, is perfectly lined up with the rendered images, which are in the center of each one of those boxes. Now we'll get her to launch the windmill shuriken, and as you can see, that one is also launched perfectly within the center. We also have it associated with Nin. Is a Earth Shatter move, which as you just saw, it rises and falls along with the collision box. And we also have Nin's Shuriken, which as you can see, each one of those are perfectly aligned as well. As you can see there, we have what is known as the Soul Flame. We don't have an image currently rendered in, so we have the placeholder of just a red box. This over here is our Sage character, and as you can see, we also incorporated the collision and image detection for his dragon. Once the image rendering is up to par with that, and we have that implemented, it's just a simple change out of the skin. And just as we had the projectile classes and their collision boxes handled, we wanted to make sure that the images and rendering for the image that was rendering in made sense for the collision box and the generation of the collision box. This had to do closely with tying in the collision box movement pattern and its behaviors throughout its existence, matching that of whatever image was being rendered. So that way as well, enemies weren't hit by unforeseen forces or anything of the like. As you can see here, we actually just died. We have Kisara down there who is launching her skill. We have the Sage over to the far right, and directly under us we have Rai. And as you can see, Rai is currently launching his throw. Kisara is launching her smoke bombs. And there's Kisara's attack. Makes sense of where she's attacking. Attacks the direction that she is currently facing. It's not coming out her back or anything, as it's going to be a forward attack, and then she lunges through the enemy if they are still within range of her other attack. Here I'm going to show you a quick run through of these attacks in the collision box. As you can see, Nin makes a sweeping motion down, which ties in closely with the motion down of the hitbox directly in front of him as it's happening. As he does his whirlwind, the hitbox is directly inside of Nin's own hitbox, and he's not actually damaged by his own hitbox. This is key to making sure that everybody's hitboxes behave properly. We didn't want an enemy to go into a hit state when his hitbox was colliding with himself. This brings us to our next acceptance criteria. We wanted each one of the game figures to have their own individual hit state. Some would generate and occur and have different behaviors than the others, and that's why we wanted to make sure that they all were unified in having a hit state and having similar patterns, but each one could have their own and derive from it. For instance, just as Kisara, Nin, Rai, Tarot, and are all hit, it will completely disrupt their behavior patterns, whether they're in a combat state, a movement state, it does not matter, it will disrupt their pattern, and they will have to suffer a knockback penalty for 1000 milliseconds at a rate of 2 pixels. They're going to move it to the opposite direction that they're facing. So if they're facing to the left, they're going to move 2 pixels to the right for 1000 milliseconds, and vice versa. Now, when each one of these animations is hit, they should render in their hit animation. Here we're going to walk through Kasara's hit animation. This is the Kasara enemy we have right in front of us. As we hit it, it goes through its own hit animation and starts suffering that movement penalty backwards at a frame rate of 2 pixels per second. We've done this for all of the different enemies, although right now they all currently use Rise hit animation. But as you can see, they are unable to move or behave as they normally would when they're in a hit state. This is going to be key for Nin to actually be able to win the game. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. You all have a pleasant evening.